Welcome to the LivXplore Podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Payne, co-host of the LivXplore Podcast. I have my co-host with me today.
I'm Isaiah Chess.
And we have another cool episode. Today we have Dennis Reis of Reis River Ranch joining us. Dennis, thank you for coming down here.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, it's cool because it's kind of a funny story to tell, because really I got to make fun of myself here about how this originally started. Do you want to give let's start with you and your background about who you are first, that way. So
I'm Dennis Reis. I'm a horseman, cowboy, cattle rancher, winery guy. Yeah, so I live in Reis and I'm a county ag coach.
Yeah, so why I say innovator is because when I first met you, I first met you years ago. You called on a country property that I had listed, and we started interacting then. And you took me to your current ranch at the time, which is an incredible property in itself and currently for sale. We can talk on that in a little bit. But you took me up there, and you were doing Zoom meetings 10 years before people ever thought of Zoom meetings. And what I mean by that is, like, he was up there, he had a camera, and he was training a horse and had someone back somewhere else that was like the beneficiary of this training. And I was like, holy cow. I thought that was so cool that way. So at one point you had a TV show. Do you want to go into that, like your background a little bit that way? So,
well, yeah, for the podcast that we did way back then, before it was
a podcast.
Before it was a podcast.
Yeah,
there was a client of mine that I was riding horses for. He was from Oklahoma, and he had a company that was an online educational format where he had like online schools. That was his deal, in the computer deal, where he would have like 50,000 people daily in his system. So if I had horses with him for him, he said, well, you got to get on my farm. And so I had a chance to go ahead and plug right into his network. And that's where it all kind of helped us. But that was after, for a while, we were doing our TV show. So, we had a TV show since 2001 and to about 2014. We were on RFD-TV, which is rural America's most important network.
Mm-hmm.
When it started out, it was on direct dish, but on a national level. And I met this guy at a horse expo. I was a keynote speaker up in Sacramento at a horse expo. And this guy was starting this network. And he said, can you have some videos to play? Yeah, sure. I have to do some videos. They're videos now, not CDs, VHSs.
Right.
So I gave him some of those videos to play. And the phone rang off the hook. And so I said, I got to get on this network. And so we started getting more and more material, and that's where it started off. And then that is now, RFD-TV is pretty prominent channel, and, on for rural broadcast, that RFD have like tractor segment, music segment, equine segment, housing segment. But they also have the cowboy channel now too. Mm-hmm. And so the good guy is Patrick Gotch. He kind of owned that whole deal. He started it all. He just passed away just recently. But that really helped us, where we went from just doing like seminars. I would do like 2-day schools across the country, 5-day schools. I'd go from his backyard. We would just get 5 to 10 to 15, 25 riders out of school. After TV, we were able to go ahead and actually rent stadiums. Sounds like a stadium, but like an indoor arena at a fairgrounds, and but we would get that indoor arena for 3 days, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we would flood the community with 20,000 free tickets.
Wow!
To have them come out and see me. They were all fans for some TV, and they would be there for 2 days to see me work. My wife would find like 5 troubled horses in the community. This horse wouldn't go on a trailer. This horse wouldn't stand still. This horse couldn't put her bottom on. This horse would buck people off. This horse kicked. And I would solve all those problems publicly with, when we gave 20,000 free tickets. Sometimes we get 1,000 people to show up, if not 1,000, 200 people. And there's been times I outnumbered the audience. Mm-hmm. But it was all about problem solving and showing people a better way to handle horses. And this is before the horse whisperer, before the internet was kind of getting started, before cell phones. And that's what it morphed into. So at the end of our run, When being the end of our run, we were living like rock stars, like around 2008, and we thought there'd be no end in sight. And then the economy tanked, and we were selling, when I was on the road, we were selling like a $20 membership. So join my club and you too could do these techniques. And so for $20, we'd give you a DVD every month. And that's what the content we were filming at these events. My wife, we had a whole film crew with us. We were on the road. We had 8 horses, 3 semis, a tour bus on the road, producing a TV show every week. And we would, sell memberships for $20. And we'd mail a DVD. And if they stayed long enough, we sold them the whole study course. It was $1,000 for a whole complete whole study course, whole curriculum that we put together. And it wasn't uncommon to sell like 100 of those a week. It's like a lot of money, but you go ahead and start paying fuel for 3 semis, a tour bus, 20 employees, 8 horses, it starts eating the whole deal. But in 2008, the economy tanked, and it went from like 100K a week to 5K a week. And I sit out there for a year thinking it'd turn around, keep feeding the monster. It didn't turn around, so I came home, $1 million down, I let everybody go, and I kept one employee that I've had for like the last 28 years. We go, and that's what I to riding horses. And rode myself out of trouble. Horses have always saved my ass. I owed all the horses, and so when the economy tanked, I went back to riding horses. And I was thinking, when I met you, I made a decision. I wanted to go ahead and get off the road. I wanted to just work locally, but I wanted a larger place to work from. Our Pengo property, I've had that for 40 years. I bought that in 85. I was 25 years old. I bought that. 9 acres, 30 stalls, indoor arena, the whole blown horse community, horse facility. And I worked out there for 40 years. But when I wanted to get off the road, I wanted a larger, I wanted to have a cowboy, I wanted a ranch, I wanted to have cows, and so when I met you, we've tried to buy that property out across from the cheese factory, lovely property, but it didn't work out. And we had an eye on another property in Petaluma. We call it the River Ranch. We got that bought. That's my dream ranch. And so we don't travel anymore. More TV. So
You don't need to travel. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property out.
I ride horses till noon and pour wine in the afternoon. I used to say I ride horses till noon and drink wine in the afternoon. My wife says, don't see you drink wine in the afternoon, see it pour wine. So now that's my life, so I paid my dues. But the horse gig is what it's all about. It's all built on the horses,
right?
Where I guess I'm like, people say, what do you do? Like, are you a horse whisperer? Well, I'm not really like a horse whisperer. Well, what do you do? Well, I'm kind of like the horse's attorney. And so I deal with people who bring their horses to me that are having problems. And in Marin and Sonoma County, there's over 40,000 horses. And so I do quite well just working in my own backyard, problem solving, showing people how to have a better relationship with the horses rather than mechanics and fear, and making them do things, the things I was shown when I was a kid. Now, as a kid, I was shown how to be a horse trainer here locally in Petaluma. I grew up here. Marin County until I was 12, and Sonoma County after that. The first job I got was riding horses. The things I saw behind the barn were pretty cruel. And so when I saw these techniques being worked, it just literally changed my whole life. But you got to ask me, like, why TV? Why all these? What makes you do that? And that's kind of the whole story itself.
Right. That's very cool. Why do you think that? Obviously, there's a need to show people these other techniques. Why is that? Why do you think that other trainers don't incorporate more of these techniques?
Well, it's good enough for grandpa. It's good enough for them. If it works, it works. But horse training is a very niche market where there's so many different disciplines. Like I said, there's 40,000 horses in Sonoma County. You've got dressage riders, you got jumping horse riders, you got trail riders, you got cutters, you got reiners, you got people who ride like Western Pleasure, you got ropers, you got all these different disciplines within the horse community, and they all have their own little expertise. What I did was I worked with all of them. I embraced all of them. I don't care if they had what color horse they had, what breed they were. If there was a horse, I was there to help you either have a better relationship or help you solve problems. And so I've never been kind of stuck in that I'd go nuts just having to be one-dimensional. Not saying it's bad. I mean, guys make a good living just, cutting cows all day or riding a pattern all day. I'd go nuts. I want to be able to do more. And so that's what the beauty of horsemanship did for me. It opened up the whole world to me. It opened up the whole world, horses for me. And so horsemanship is like a horse, a man, a ship, vessel moving together. And so when I first saw these things, I go, my God, you don't have to do these things behind the barn. You can actually do things in a kind and gentle way when you understand their nature and communicate with their nature. And believe it or not, if you think with all the community we have, with all the online, the podcast, information out there, if things have changed, it hasn't. And that's the sad thing. After watching all these political debates, and the whole big key word now is I'm hearing unity. Unity. Well, the first book I read based on this type of work was written by a guy named Tom Dorrance, who's like the father of horsemanship, that taught us disciples and a handful of guys that embraced his techniques. I'm one of them. And the first book he wrote was True Unity, how you can get united with this horse. And he didn't stand for fighting with horses. He didn't stand for people fighting in the Middle East. And so it's amazing how these horses have healed me. And therapeutic riding programs that we do for kids. Ask yourself why these ladies, after they raise their kids and buy their dream horse, and the dream horse becomes a nightmare, and why they would spend all those dollars with me to have them help them overcome the problem of having their dream become a reality. And so that's how huge this is, but it goes beyond just like how to. It becomes, well, man, this may change me inside. It did change me. When I grew up, I barely got through school, got through high school because of horses. I was a kid in class that couldn't read. Inside of me, I didn't want to be the weird kid who couldn't public speak or couldn't read. But why did I want to go out and be a public speaker to overcome this fear of public speaking? And believe it or not, public speaking is a huge fear for most people. I'm living proof you can overcome it. And I did overcome it. It's because these demonstrations I did. And so now I'm being sought after to say, how do you do that? How do you overcome your fear? Why did you do this? I too have this peace with my horse or with my family or my friends. And so I'm an old guy now. I'm 66 years old, and there's more to it than just kind of how to. How to gets kind of boring. When you start looking at the spiritual effect. It's like this guy rides bicycles. If he just rode bicycles all day, he'd go nuts. But I guarantee he rides his bicycle. Talking about this kid over here, I call him a kid, this young man, Isaiah, he's a world-class bike rider. I guarantee he does it, and he goes to a new level, a new dimension. He has a hard time explaining that, but it's his passion and your passion, real estate. Why do you want to have all these listings, all these agents? You pull your hair out, all this extra work. It's your passion. And that's what people want. They want to have a passion. And so my passion is horses, which has spawned into cows. I'm a cowboy, but I never had cows for raising cattle. I had cows, and I just torture them. I train horses. I chase after them and rope them and chase. But now I actually raise beef. What do I know about wine? Oh my God, I have a winery. If I know about wine as well, I could drink it. But if I know a little bit more about wine, in the sense the first job I got when I was 19 was selling wine. And no one really knows that. It seemed me as being this horse guy in the community. I sold wine for 5 years in Marin County. And that's what gave me the funds to buy my property in Peckerville. It wasn't a horse gig. Horse trainers don't make any money. Starve to death. Today, you're going to starve to death being a horse trainer. So I bought my ranch from the wine business, but right after I bought the ranch, I quit the wine gig and dedicated 4 years of my life riding horses. And so I hated the wine business. I didn't hate the wine. I didn't hate the sales part. I hated getting hammered by sales managers and say like, well, what did you do yesterday? Great job for yesterday. I don't care about yesterday. Tell me what you're going to do today and tomorrow. In fact, what did you do today? How many placements did you make on the shelf today? How many new cold box placements you get in the cold box? How many displays you make? Give me your reports for all these calls you make. And they would just ride your butt to no end. And I was young and impressionable and took it all away. And today I would just laugh at this guy. They kind of try to bribe me. They call it like micromanaging, you know. They micromanage the hell out of you. But looking back, it was my college education. And those things that I learned from the wine business, I've applied to my business without the micromanaging. I don't have people working for me. I have people working with me. And so, I'm very happy living in Sonoma County. Before I used to be chasing a dream, living a nightmare. Mm-hmm. Now I'm living a dream. Mm-hmm. And so, why am I here at this podcast? Well, you asked me to come. You asked me to talk. You can ask me to shut up whenever you want, because I'm talking about my favorite subject all day long. What's your favorite subject? Well, me.
Right.
Well, you're a narcissist too. Well, no, I'm not a narcissist. No, I just love what I'm doing with the opportunities everybody has out there that maybe have fears of that opportunity. It may be buying their first house, maybe buying their first horse, it may be going on a bike ride, it may be a job. And all these things are usually based by fear. I make a living now with showing people you too can overcome your fear of can't, don't, won't, but all the excuses. So that's my jam today.
That's very cool. Let's talk about that. So how do you do that? What programs do you offer on your ranch to help people with overcoming?
Well, it's funny. It's not a program based on fear. Oh, I want to set up that public speaking course for fear.
Sure.
It's more about, well, I want to go ahead and come out and ride with Dennis. And so we have students that come out and ride with me from all over the country. They can fly in and ride for a weekend, or they can leave their horse and ride with me for 3 years, 5 years. I've had horses there that people have hauled in, and I've left them there, and they come in like once a month to ride with me. Mm-hmm. And it's usually never about the activity of the horse. It's usually more about the activity of getting away, spending time with their horse, hanging out with me, but also not doing things like in a traditional way where you feel like, oh man, I'll never get this. Encouragement goes a long way. And so the courses we offer is a course, not a menu of, I want to do that or this or that. It's kind of like, well, hang out with me today. We're going to go ahead and move cows from point A to point B. Why did I move a cow from point A to point B? Well, when I give it a try. Or I've never roped before. Well, I'll show you how you do that. Well, that's cool. I'll try that. I'm going to go for a ride across the ranch. Well, I never went riding down that scary area. Well, we'll get through that together. I don't want to ride in the ocean. We'll go after the ocean. So I do that like till noon, being creative and having fun. But typically, why do people want to come and spend that money with me? Just to have fun? They want to have fun. They also want to overcome what they're needing to fulfill their passion. Because usually their cheerleader section at home is usually not the encourager. Usually the husband is one saying, well, you can't do that. You can't spend more money with that. And so I get to be a counselor too. I'm married a lot of times too.
Sure. Yeah. We can understand that. Yeah. So tell us, so you have the ability to, people can come out, can stay a couple of days with you. They can board horses there. You also have wine tasting there in the afternoons, and on weekends you have a little barbecue going on.
Yeah. So we were open on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 till 6. And on Saturday and Sunday we serve our grass-fed beef hamburgers. And why that? Well, it's just you would taste our beef, and they taste our beef, they go home with beef. And so I just sold my last quarter of beef last week. I got 2 steers I'm processing in 2 weeks, and we'll have more beef to sell like in the middle of August. I was selling beef by, the piece. You come in and you buy out all my ribeyes or all my New Yorks, and you wipe me out. And now we're saying, just buy a quarter of a cow.
Right.
There are people say, well, I can't buy a whole quarter of a cow. The first thing they say is what? So I sell freezers.
Yeah.
So that means I go to Home Depot, I buy a freezer that I pay $240 for it's like a chest side. He feeds you like a washing machine, and I sell it for $240. So I take away all the obstacles.
Right.
And by doing that, I sell them at eighth. And so it's amazing. Like I said, you talk about horses till I'm blue in the face, but cattle, I've only been having cattle for 8 years. I started with about 6 cows, and now I have close to 100. They're always raised there. How I work cattle today compared to how I did it 8 years ago is night and day difference. You know, I mean, like the David Bananas used to be playing in my head, you know, go out there and choose some cows and bring them in. That's how I saw myself, you know, doing this. But now, and I would laugh at these old farmers that would go out there with like their tractors, and the cattle would follow them in. And so I go out there in my red Kubota, and I hand feed them grain. They all come up to me, and they just follow me back to the barn. I put them in the corrals. I work them the same way I work with horses. Understanding, communication versus mechanics and bear. And my cows love me. And what kills your meat is stress.
Right.
So
cortisol and all.
It's terrible. Terrible. And so our cow live a stress-free life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have meat that is not stressed or hormone injected or all this medical stuff in there that you're going to buy when you go to the grocery store, you think it's regulated. Well, it's USDA. My cattle are USDA approved. But trust me, most of the beef that come into the United States comes from Brazil, comes from Mexico. You have no idea what you're eating.
Let's just go over that real quick, because most people do not realize that. And I think I just read this within like the last couple of years. I always assumed USDA means that's U.S. beef, but that's a sticker. That's all it is.
Go to drive down Highway 5 and Harris Ranch.
Yep.
And you'll see how cattle live in feedlots for miles and miles. That's just like, I'm not saying it's bad. I wouldn't choose to do that to livestock.
Right.
And that's not our deal. If you're buying our beef, you're buying stress-free cattle that are born and raised there.
Right.
So the females, I have females there that have been born that are having babies. I have males that have a 2-year lifespan. When they're 2 years old, they go into a pen, they go off of grass, they go into a pen, and we give them grain for 4 months, but all the hay they can eat. And that gives your beef a marbling and a taste. If you just want a grass-fed vibe, I personally, the first grass-fed beef I raised, I go, this doesn't taste very good. I actually said it tastes like crap, but I can't say that. Wow. It's too gamey.
Right.
And for something like you, like an athlete, you probably want that lean meat, you know, but I want a steak to taste like a steak. And so the marbling effect takes place by how much grain you give them, how much feed you get, and how fat they get. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to go and raise Wagyus.
Right.
And I get in that Wagyu bandwagon. So I bought a Wagyu and I raised one. I treat it the same way as mine, processed the same way. And it was the exact same marbling effect from my cattle and the Wagyu. I go, what's going on with this? Genetics? Really? That's not right.
That's
when I started talking to these guys, I go, well, Dennis, those Wagyu guys, they give those guys grain for 18 months.
Oh, do they?
And so if I want my cattle to be prime, just like a Wagyu, just give them grain for 12 months, 18 months, and you'll have that high fat content that frankly I don't really like, but I don't want the lean deal. So, you know, they have this, you know, prime, grade, select.
Right.
You know, I would say mine are prime, but it's right on the edge of grade, you know, and it's like, you can damn sure see the marbling, but it's not over fat.
Fair.
But the bottom line is
still a healthy cow.
Still a healthy cow.
Right.
If I asked you, what's the difference between organic and grass-fed? Tell me. Would you know?
I couldn't.
Grass-fed would be just grass-fed. Organic would be what? No antibiotics?
Well, close. And so my cattle are grass-fed. They are organic, though. Organic means no medication.
Right.
And so if they get sick, you got to go ahead and put them in a special feedlot away from the other cattle or sell them. Call it a conventional herd, and no pesticides on the ranch. And so we're a winery, we use pesticides. My cattle are not organic, they're grass-fed.
Sure.
But have I ever had to use antibiotics? No. And I've warned them. I'll take care of their sick, but I haven't had a sick animal yet. But so just for the clarity of knowing when you're buying organic, if you're buying grass-fed, because grass is grain-finished, these are things you want to ask and point.
Sure. That's a whole other can of worms in terms of like organic certifications we could go down and talk about. But
it's like the dairy deal. All the dairies, if you're not organic, you're out of business. Like my neighbor, their 100 years, they were, a dairy, and they couldn't compete with the organic buy.
Right.
So
yeah,
now you got the almond milk. So, I mean, at one time on Highway 101 from Payne to Sonoma County, there was 50 dairies.
Right.
Zero now.
Right.
When I was a little kid, I was 3 years old. I grew up on dairy. When I was 3 years old, my grandfather came over from the Azores and milked cows. And my dad milked cows with my grandfather. And I grew up on a ranch there. It was called Pagundas Ranch. It's actually where the Fireman's Fund building is down there in Terra Linda.
Okay.
I grew up there. And so I always wanted to have a property on 101. That's what led that property. So I drove past my ranch forever. I never had a clue what was behind.
Right.
But I saw that sign for sale, 630 acres. I saw it for sale for like 10 years. I go, I can't afford 630 acres, no way. Well, I saw it like the 8th year up the hill. I go, I'm going to call up that guy. And I found some wiggle room and talked to the guy that he was in negotiation as possible. So when I drove over the hill, I go, I got to have this property. I just fell in love with it. It was a complete emotional buy. It had nothing to do with business. They always say, never buy real estate emotional. Well, it isn't an emotional buy. It had to happen. Everything I do is emotional. Oh my God, I'm not a good businessman. I'm just a lucky businessman. I'm lucky in the sense that I love
pretty good business.
I love what I do. I love horses, and I love, like I said, if it's wine gig, well, why wine? Well, I sold wine when I was, when I was 19. I wasn't legal to go to a bar. I sold wine for 5 years. I was the number one wine salesman out of 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working for a company called McKesson. It was called Pacific Crown in the Bay Area. And I knocked it out of the park just because I outworked those guys. That means I went into a store. After a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks serving the store, I would work the back room. I'd fill the shelves. I'd dust the bottles. I'd never rip them off as far as selling something we couldn't sell. I'd always give them a great deal. And so I had a great clientele list where I would just be able to sell these. I would do these pool buys where I'd get together like 30 stores to get the whole truckload price. That was the key to my success when I was a kid. And then again, when I bought my first property, quit that, but that passion, that work ethic, it hasn't stopped.
Right. No, that shows. Do you want to talk a little bit about your vineyards and your wine?
Oh, it's funny, the people come out and they want to know, are you a winemaker?
Right.
And our nephew's a winemaker. So they said, it's nepotism. Well, our nephew, my wife's nephew, he's our winemaker. He actually works for Vintage Estates, which is a big conglomerate company in the county that has like 13 wineries underneath their umbrella. He's a head winemaker for them. And so we buy all our grapes, all our juice. We sell or we bottle, we make it on the ranch. We actually I planted a little 1 acre vineyard. This is 4th year this year. Mm-hmm. It's a Chardonnay vineyard. So we'll have our first estate bottled wine this year, Chardonnay. We're in the Petaluma Gap, our property. That means the Petaluma Gap is a new AVA. An AVA is called American Viticulture Area or a wine region. So here's some things I can help you about, like wine. Most people come to our winery, they like our non-pretentious vibe. Mm-hmm. You'll go to Napa, they'll charge you to smell the wine. No disrespect about Napa, but that's a whole different bowl of wax. Our deal is different. So there's 18 regions in Sonoma County for wine. Petaluma Gap is one of those regions. Mm-hmm. It's all microclimate. So where I'm at there in Petaluma, we get a coastal breeze every day. We get a morning fog, evening fog. The two grapes do good in that environment is the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay, which we're going to grow a lot of. And I was never a Pinot fan or a Chardonnay fan, but I am now. Mm-hmm. I like Cabernet. Will I grow Cabernet grapes at my ranch? No. I can buy my Cabernet grapes up in Healdsburg from a person who's been growing for 50 years, but I'll ever dream about doing it, and I can make a better bottle of wine. So we source all our fruit in areas that are going to produce the best possible bottle of wine. But we're going to get our first estate Chardonnay. We're going to have our first estate Pinot Noir as well. We're going to focus on those 2 varietals on our ranch. But you go to a winery, you just have 2 varietals, and like, this is kind of boring. All my place would be like 31 flavors. So
Right.
Or so all the flavors of Sonoma County. And so that's our vibe. Our vibe is we're ranchy, not fancy.
Right.
People like that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's an incredible experience there. Being there is one of the, without a doubt, one of my favorite places in the world, being there. I mean, coming over the hill, like you said.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Once you're over that hill and you see the whole valley, the whole river, it's an incredible property. And it's a different feel than you'll get anywhere else. You won't get that. I think that ranching feels so cool, but you won't get that anywhere else.
Well, I had these guys show up. We've been, there 8 years. We've been operating for 4 years. We've had people come out and go, how have you been able to get 800 club members in 4 years' time?
Well, how many you have? Wow. No.
How are you able to do that? And so I talked to them, listened to them, and they start telling me about all their credentials in making wine and all these components to making the wine. And I'm like, I'm falling asleep, and shut up. It's like enough. Like people, they get too close to their topic or too close to their passion, and people say, "That's why."
Yeah.
And so I said, "The biggest thing you're missing me, and that means I'm in hospitality. When people show up at the ranch, they don't want to meet some guy who's getting $20 an hour and hates his job. Well, meet the guy who owns the place. So what's he doing to hang out with him? But it's not like, oh, probably got to hang out here with this person and give him bullshit, try his own. I literally love people who come up to the ranch. If I give them a tour, I have more fun giving them a tour. I have more fun hanging out with them and telling them about what we're doing. Do I know much about wine? Not much.
Right.
I have a good winemaker. I have a real good vineyard manager guy. I got guys that can make fences, but I don't know if I'll make fences. Do I fix tractors? No. Do I paint? No. I mean, that's my wife. What do I do? Well, he rides horses and bullshit. I'm in hospitality.
Right.
So that's the key to horses.
Right. I can attest that. Anytime I've been there, anyone that walks through that door, you'll sit down with them. You'll know, their name, their story, you know everything about them. It's really cool. You don't see that other places.
No, that's people want to be able to, people don't care. Seriously, I've heard my whole life. People don't care what you know until they know what you care. I keep hearing that same, very it's the truth. In a short period of time, they realize I don't care about, I know a little bit about wine. I have to know a little bit about it, just not to get in trouble. But I'm not, hey,
Right.
I want to be a winemaker. I'm a cowboy.
Right.
I want to be able to run off in the sunset.
Yep.
Very cool. So the wine tasting room is open Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Thursday,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then also there's a potential for a wedding venue too if you want to be wet on this. Again, it's just a totally scenic, iconic piece of property. There's a potential for that as well. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
We've had about 15 weddings so far.
Okay.
And we young brides come out. We give people tours. We give tours from like 10 to 11. And I give them a whole tour of the property and, show them what we have to offer. And, we've had several weddings out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun, But, some people want, that it's a ranchy vibe. I got cattle over there. I got tractors there. It's not a dump, but it's not like, there's entrances in Napa to these ranches and wineries that cost more than our property. That's not our place.
Right.
So some people want that. So if you're looking for a rustic, elegant vibe, we can get that for you.
Yes, I think that's a great way, rustic elegant, because I felt like you're discounting a little bit. It's really an incredible property. But yeah, you're not like if you're looking for that Napa vibe, high-end vibe, it's a little bit different, right?
And so I had a guy come out. He actually is a landscaper. He's a club member. He does the landscaping, not a landscaper. He's a landscape architect. He puts all these beautiful landscape places like in Napa for these beautiful wineries. And, the minimum price, it's like $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking $1 million in a heartbeat, landscaping these beautiful vineyards.
Right.
He looked at my deal, I go, what's that worth? He says, it's priceless. So what we bought was something that's priceless.
Yeah.
And so,
you want to talk a little about farm stays as well? I don't know if we covered that yet, but
Well, so, we have a farm stay, and actually, we're doing some website work. We're actually changing the title to a ranch retreat, still under the farm stay umbrella, or ranch retreats. And so you can go out to the ranch, and you can enjoy the whole second floor of our house. We have 3 stories in our house. My wife and I live on the 3rd floor. There's a huge house. So you get the whole second floor with 4 suites for $700 for 8 people. So where can you go get the whole second floor for less than $800, $750 for 8 people? And we ask you to stay there for 2 days. And so we offer that. Includes, wine tasting. You can enjoy the property. So we do that, twice a week. We're just trying to make.
Sure, that's a great idea. That's really cool. That's really cool. You offer all these things. Earlier, you talked about how you were in high school and you were scared of talking in front of people and that you couldn't read.
Right.
So not only did you overcome your ability to talk in front of people, but somewhere along the line, you became, I would say that, let me this back. If it's in the zoning code, Dennis can decipher it and tell you exactly what's going on. So like nothing gets by him. So somewhere along the way you became extremely proficient at reading and at figuring out zoning and things of that nature.
Loopholes.
Yeah, and loopholes. Because let's jump over because we currently have your property for sale out in Payne Grove.
Right.
Let's talk about that. Let's have you. The best person that can talk about it is you. Let's talk about that property really quick for our listeners if they're looking for a venue like this, because it's one of a kind. It cannot be duplicated. If you were trying to create this property today, been selling real estate in Sonoma County, Marin County for nearly 20 years, you cannot duplicate this property with its use permits. Talk a little bit about this property.
25 years old.
Sure.
And when I got it, there was like 2 houses and a trailer on it. Now there's 5 legal houses on the property. It's a full-blown commercial horse facility. Have 30 stalls. Has the indoor arena that's half covered in the arena. You can give. It's funny. When I bought the property, 2 years later, it was called Stablegate. So I'm like 27 years old. I get a letter from PRMD saying, close down your company, your business. You have 30 days to shut down because you're operating illegally. And there was a person who was trying to get what they wanted from the county, and they were getting some opposition. So they decided they turned in 30 different staples in the county. They called it Stablegate. I was one of the 30. They turned me in. So I show up at PRMD. You're telling me, I said, I just bought this place, my whole life's invested in it, and you're telling me I can't work anymore? We got a piece of paper saying I can. And I didn't realize maybe a calm, quiet, professional way of approaching the county would have been a better way than going in and being some live out of control cowboy. But I was just like this close, getting hauled out of there in handcuffs, but I was like beside myself. But that was a lesson I learned, that the burden of proof is on you. If you get a consideration from the county, you got to make sure you have it in triplicate, that you can do something. And so that's when I started my quest to learning how to get along with the county. And they have been very gracious. I can say nothing nice about, I can only say nice things about PRMD for what they've done for me. But I know all those guys have been on a first name basis.
Yes, you do.
From getting all my considerations at Payne Grove and also my considerations in Petaluma. But there's nothing easy about it.
Right.
And I've got some really good help. I got some Dave Tompkins, who's a client of ours, who's our consultant. He's been with me the whole way. But at Payne Grove, that violation I got, I was able to turn that into clarity when I said, okay, I have a use permit. This use permit needs some clarity. So I learned that training horses for the public is a separate consideration that needs to be clear. Giving lessons, separate consideration. How many lessons a day is a separate consideration. Group lessons, separate consideration. So if you have someone turn you in, a neighbor, all these complaints are complaint driven from a neighbor that can potentially shut you down. You have to have the burden of proof on you. And so training horses, lessons, group lessons, clinics, put a clinic on where the public comes in and rides with you. So we're approved for 2-day clinics, 5-day clinics, 9-day clinics, 1-month clinics. We'll have a horse show. Well, we better have approval for that. And so we have approval for put horse shows on 12 a year where 300 people come on the property. But that was also the consideration where it's 300 people for horse shows / or event.
Right.
That means I want to get married out there. Okay, we can get married out there with a horse slant, and so we have approval for events.
So again, we approval for events up to 300 people 12 times a year.
Never
never going to happen.
It's an event. It's an event center in Sonoma County.
Yeah,
with 5 houses, and you can do events.
Right.
You want to talk a little bit how the River Ranch, they can do 100 person that's 20 times the size.
I have less considerations for a place much bigger over there than I have over there.
Right.
And so the opportunity for someone there with the 5 houses, the rental income you can get, so I have all 5 houses rented. You can have 30 stalls filled up. You can do events. This place is an opportunity where if you want to go ahead and have a place create positive cash flow, this place will do it for you.
Right.
This place has always taken care of me. Well, why are you selling it? I've had it for 40 years. Why are you selling it? Well, I'm 66 years old. And trust me, I love that property. That property has taken care of me. But my wife and I want to be able to go ahead and move into a semi-retirement and pay off the place I bought.
Sure.
This is why I was selling it. It's not because you have to sell it.
Right.
It really doesn't make sense to sell it. But, it was priced accordingly in the sense that the uses on that property, you wouldn't get today, or if you want to get close to those uses that it has today, it'd take you 3 to 5 years to get those considerations done.
If you can get them done, yeah. If you get them done.
With close to $1 million.
Yes.
That's certain. It's like
from
regional orbital or sequel. I mean, it's just the list is endless.
Right.
So most likely be for at most a third.
Considerations. Yeah. It's also a bed hospital.
Right.
That means, you mean I can put a bed in a hospital here? Yeah, you can put a bed. Is it clarity that it can be larger? Isn't this a bed hospital?
Yes.
It's so loosely written that it's a bed hospital. So you can run semis through the arena. And I've done all these things. I've had huge events there. Have I had 300 people on a property? I've had more than that.
Right.
You just want to go ahead and be creative in how you get everything stacked in there and manage all your traffic. It's something that you can utilize every day of the year because it rains on the hill, and in this parade is not going to. It's that property has been utilized.
Right. Yep. I didn't want to confuse our listeners, but 411 Highland Avenue is the property we're talking about. Incredible property. If someone's looking for an event place or just an income-producing property, please check this out. You can find out, you can contact Isaiah or myself directly, or 411highlandav.com is the property's website. So you can.
It's funny, before I bought the property, it was a 3-day event center.
Uh-huh.
And that means they had a 3-day event is people had dressage, jumping, and cross country. That's the 3 events that you see at the Olympics. So a 3-day eventer, they do dressage, which is like ballet and horseback. Jumping in the stadium, or jumping over jumps inside the arena. Cross country, where they can jump over jumps or after my property. So they had 3-day events at that property when I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
They spent a huge amount of money on the engineering of that arena that's there.
Mm-hmm.
That arena is an Olympic scale dressage arena.
Mm-hmm.
Footing is everything with riding horses. Riding horses professionally, without footing, you're done. This arena, when I bought it, it had all these engineered deals and that, and like bucking horse riding cowboy had clue. And the place had it was half filled with these dressage riders that were boarding horses there. So I bought a place. Within about a month, all the dressage ladies left. I'm out there dumping my manure in the arena. I'm an idiot cowboy. So I want to have like cushionings. I'm going to be riding bucking horses in there, steer wrestling and cowboying in there. And about 5 years into this deal, I pulled my head out of my butt and started learning about what I had with the footing for this arena and how important footing was. And I started learning what dressage meant. Dressage means to train a horse. I started taking dressage lessons. I started getting features being the cowboy dressage rider. And so now I have my arena back to how it was when I bought the property, but I had to go through this whole learning curve of how important it was and how that engineered arena, when it rains, the water just sheds off. So it's covered, but it doesn't need a cover.
Right.
So these are all the things, these are more things about this property that is so cool that, so you got an engineered dressage arena, a world-class Olympic scale arena that, I'm a dressage rider, it's right there.
Right.
But can you rope in there? You can rope in there. Can you work cattle in it? I'll work cattle in there, but the footing is outstanding. And no one ties a horse inside the arena, and horses that poop in there gets cleaned up out of there. So I went from dumping manure in there, running bucket horses, to now being this guy that says, no tying horses inside, no poop inside. The arena gets worked every day, sometimes 3 days a week, three times a day, gets hand watered for dust control. And so these are all the things I learned from being a cowboy dressage rider.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Cool. Yeah. Getting back to the Reis Ranch, is there anything, the River Ranch, is there any other, anything that you offer there that we have?
Well, like I said, if you want to come out and, we don't like have horses you can just rent or, school horses. You have to bring your own horse and hang out with me for a ride for a weekend or longer. We offer that. The wine tasting, please look at our reviews. We have close to 150 Google reviews, all 5-star. And if you're looking for a place to come that's kid-friendly, dog-friendly, get a good glass of wine and a great hamburger, we offer that. We also sell the beef there. We also, like I said, do events. You want to have a celebration of life, a birthday party, a wedding, we can offer that for you. Our club members that come out, they kayak. Join the club, you can kayak. We're military-friendly, police-friendly, teacher-friendly. And so can't be us along here. We all get along here, but if you're a corp dork, a high-end sommelier, come out and enjoy our property. I guarantee I'll get you less protection.
Yeah. And you really are, a lot of people say the gateway to wine country, but you really are the gateway to wine country. 35 miles up north, and you are the first spot. And
I never would have gotten those considerations at that ranch if it wasn't for the things I learned with having that Plum Grove property. And also have a really good consultant. I got some really good help. This guy named Gabe Tompkins, the city of Vacaville.
Yes. Very knowledgeable guy.
So I'll be, the word with Dave is, I afford a guy like this guy. Well, fortunately, he's a horse guy. His wife loves horses. And so the answer is I'll be riding horses to perpetuity for Dave for all the things he does. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
And for anyone that doesn't realize that, I know you said it, but how close is the Bay Area? It is the first stop if you're coming up from San Francisco Bay Area, the first stop to any winery in the North Bay. So anyone coming north, you have to stop there first.
Yep. Right before Petaluma, if you're coming up from San Francisco, keep your eyes open on the right-hand side and you'll see it, and look for the signage there.
So one more thing that's kind of cool that we got approached by Ducks Unlimited and the Land Trust. And it's been going on for 3 years, but right now we're in the appraisal stage. That means the property has a couple hundred acres of wetlands. And there's a train track, and we have all the property. We have like a vineyard and development and so forth. But they approached me that the wetlands is the ancient marsh in Sonoma County, 3,000 years old. And they're saying with sea level rise, the ancient marsh is going to disappear. So they want to mitigate that problem. They want to have all of that brackish water from the river come underneath the railroad tracks and come onto our property. And so it'll be like an ebb and flow effect. But they want to turn it into a restoration project where they restore the wetland area, the whole property. So look down the road that the property may have that cool,
Very
cool vibe too. And as
nice.
the reason I can talk about that, we had Bay Area Back Roads out, and they did a whole special on the whole deal. And so it's public knowledge that, we're working with them. And so now we're at the appraisal stage. If we can come to a dollar figure that makes sense for its full direction.
That's great. That'd be very cool. Just add to the mystique of the ranch out there. Yeah, cool. So you have reisranch.com, which is a good way for people, for people to go to figure that out. Or you're on social media as well. So check them out on. I see you on Facebook, and are you on Instagram? Facebook.
Everybody said, "Yeah, learn Instagram." Okay, I'm stuck. I'm thrilled.
Right. Well, you're there. You're definitely on Facebook. So, or check them out at reisranch.com. That's REIS ranch.com. Dennis, thank you very much for joining us today. You have two great pieces of property.
I have two great realtors. This is like the Cape Crusaders. It's like Batman or Robin here. Why did I pick these two guys where I could pick anybody in the county? Well, because I watched Sean work for like the last 15 years, and this guy is just awesome. And you have done a great job. And the energy, the enthusiasm putting this on right here is only showing just how much you care about what you're doing. This is why you have my property. And so Cape Crusaders are pretty cool.
Thank you very much. On that note, if you like this, please hit like and subscribe to see future episodes. And other than that, we're out. See you guys later.
See you next time.
Welcome to the LivXplore Podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.